Hello, YouTube. Lewis here with
Trent.
And we're here with some tech headlines. We've got state testing going on here in the building, so it's really not good for us to have really long shows. So for some of these more discussive type things, we are going to do an after show, and so that's why we're here. The main thing we're going to talk about today, we're going to hit those tech headlines pretty hard. The biggest story right now that is going to impact your life in some form or fashion is the movie release headlines that happened last week in regards to HBO Max and Warner Brothers. What Warner Brothers said is they are going to release all of their 2021 movie schedule in theaters, but they're also going to simultaneously release them on HBO Max for anyone who is a subscriber. Now, this is really big, and this has never happened before because there's always been extremely strict rules between movie theaters and the actual studios. That theaters get the movies for like 4 to 6 weeks, and then there is going to typically be another 6 to 8 week time span before the movie then becomes available for purchase. And then there's another time span of, I don't know, half a year it seems, before it actually lands on a streaming service like Netflix. Now, because of 2021 pandemic and all these studios and all the streaming services are trying to toy with and play with how they can make their money, now they're going to go directly to a streaming service at the same time they're in the theater. What is your take on this? What do you think from a student's standpoint? How do you feel about movies coming directly to streaming at the same time they're in the theater?
My first question is, how long will they be on the streaming platform? Are they going to be permanent?
Great question. As of now, they're saying that the movies are going to remain on HBO Max for a period of 1 month.
1 month.
Then they stay in the theater for like another month, depending on how people are going to watch. You know, how many people go to watch. At some point, when people stop going to the movie, they pull it.
Right.
So, HBO Max for 1 month while it's in the theater at the same time. So if you still want to go to the movies, you can go to the movies and see it. Then they're going to pull it from HBO Max, and at some point, it'll come back for you to purchase, and then I'm sure down the road it'll end back up on HBO Max for free. So that's the time frame.
All right. And one more question. So you said they're bringing out the movies, their 2021 agenda, however many of they're releasing. Are they releasing all of those at the same time for that 30-day period?
Okay.
Or are they coming out individually, and will they have their own set of 30 days?
So individually. So there's the release schedule for 2021, and you know how it works. At Christmas time, they're going to release a handful of movies, let's say 2 or 3 from Warner Brothers Studio, because Paramount and all these other studios haven't decided what they're going to do yet. They're waiting to see how this works. So they'll release maybe 2 movies in December, then around February, probably a couple of more movies, spring break, some more movies, summer movies. So that's how that, and it's like 21 movies total throughout the year that they're going to release this way.
Right. Personally, it's a good idea from them to make their money that they won't be able to be making because of COVID from the theaters. So, like I said, it's not a bad idea, but I don't think you'll be able to take away from the theaters that much. I still think people are going to go to the theaters just as much. Like, I'd rather go watch those movies in theaters.
Right, because it's a different experience.
Right, you get a whole nother experience watching the movie in theaters rather than at home.
Right.
That surround sound is a lot different than what you have at the house.
Absolutely. What the theaters are saying is this is not fair because we want, those of us who are particularly want a very specific movie, like some of you are going to come to the theater just because you want to see the movie right now when it's released.
Right.
Not everybody shares your feeling of, I want to see it in the theater no matter what because I like that experience. They want all of the market to say, the only way we're going to see this is we have to go to the theater and pay for it at the theater to see it. Warner Brothers' point is and here's where they're getting a lot of flack. HBO Max is a new streaming service. It's been on the market for, I think, 6 to 8 months. It came on right before COVID. The criticism from the industry is y'all are using this opportunity in order to get everybody to go sign up for HBO Max.
Right, I was thinking
And it's
about
going
that.
and it's going to happen. HBO Max is a more expensive premium streaming service. It has kept a lot of people from going to it. However, that $14.99 a month is going to be nothing if you were to figure in the price of going to the movie and buying a ticket. Because if you've got a family of 6 people and you want your whole family to see Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas Day, you are going to be in really good... Is it 1984?
85, I'm pretty sure.
85?
Yeah. Almost 100% sure it's 85.
Let me look. I have the schedule. Anyway, if you want your whole family to see it, you're $14.99. Not only that, you can turn it on the next day and watch another movie. Like the price, if you take into account that you're going to do multiple movies a month, the price then becomes exquisite. So if you're comparing HBO Max to Netflix, price-wise, Netflix wins. If you're comparing HBO Max versus quality of content, it is unreal. And here's the thing. Many of you probably haven't signed up for HBO Max. I have an account because it came with my AT&T bundle. When I got onto it and signed onto it, I was astonished. And Miss Lewis, my wife, was she could not believe the amount of quality content that HBO already has on there. They own so many amazing television shows and have for decades, and movies. It is months worth of content already on there to watch. And what people are saying that end up going to it, they're saying the content is way, way, way better than Netflix. I'm never going back. Meaning, and most people are saying I'm going to hold on to Netflix as well, but once they hook you into HBO Max, a lot of people are saying it's the best streaming service I have. The people who are getting it are saying it's the best one I currently have. What's keeping people from going to it in the first place is the price. So this is a very slick move, because a lot of people will say on Christmas Day, I'm not comfortable going to the theaters. I want to see something new. We've got a brand new 65-inch television in the living room. The whole family's here. Let's pop some popcorn. I'll put in for an account with HBO Max. We'll pay $14.99 this month.
This one time.
And then
this one time.
Exactly. And then I promise my wife I will cancel the account after we watch it this month. It's not going to get canceled.
And then next month rolls around.
Oh,
and they say the same thing about the new movie they just got released.
It's not. When all the wives realize that they can watch Grey's Anatomy and all of these other shows on there, they're not going to cancel the account, because there's lots of stuff that the ladies in the household are going to enjoy on HBO as well. Now, some of the movies that are going to be released, I saw Trent over here looking at it a few seconds ago. Here are just some of them. The big ones: The Suicide Squad. That's going to be a huge movie. Godzilla vs. Kong, which I didn't even realize that one was in production.
I didn't either.
Mary Saints Newark. I don't know that. The Conjuring. That's a horror flick, movie, right? Yeah. I can't even say that. I don't even know. What is that? Malignant?
Yeah.
Don't know. Those Who Wish Me Dead. Like that. King Richard. Space Jam. The new Space Jam. Is that the one with LeBron?
That's the one with LeBron, yeah.
Reminiscent. The Little Things. Mortal Kombat. Matrix 4.
Mortal Kombat? They made a new Mortal Kombat?
There's a new Mortal Kombat. And these are just some of the movies. Like, this is 12 of the movies, and that Wonder Woman's not even on that list. And there's like 21. You can go online and look for the list, the HBO Max 2021 movie list, and see. The theaters are terrified. Now, the theaters did come back. They were striking the deal And AMC, which is the largest theater chain in the country, said, we're okay with this. After all of the press release came out, the AMC president came back furious and said, this is not what we discussed. We had only discussed releasing just Wonder Woman on Christmas Day. HBO took that and said, we're going to do all of the movies for 2021, which is getting them all kinds of press. Right now, me and you were talking about this for EVTV to put on YouTube for people to watch. And there's undoubtedly going to be some people that watch us do this right now that are going to sign up for HBO Max because they're like, that's a really sweet deal. I didn't have any clue about it. So they're getting all kinds of press for this, and they're going to increase the HBO Max subscribers list. Having ingested all of this information, what is your takeaway?
I would definitely go for the... So,
even though you like going to the theaters, do you see yourself still talking your mom into signing up just to check it out?
Yeah, easily. I mean, I would definitely... it's a better deal overall because you got to think about how much the movie ticket would cost. If we're just one person, we're just going to base this off of one person. So you could either pay the $14.99 a month, or how much is a movie ticket?
Oh,
it ranges for every money, something like that.
Now?
And then you got to get popcorn and a drink. That's going to easily be like $24 right there for one person. So 24 times 12. I'm not even going to do the math in my head. That's thinking maybe 288.
Right. And there are so many creative ways during COVID that you can make a really cool experience. This summer, I got a huge, an old sign material. We had a massive one that was rolled up. I unrolled it. I actually clamped it to our gutter system. And I took a very bright projector outside and I set up a very loud sound system, and we showed Cars to the kids. And I was telling my wife, we didn't do this right. Like, next time when it warms up again, I'm going to buy a bunch of those huge boxes of candy, like Milk Duds and all of the stuff, and get the actual huge popcorn buckets with the butter and like, we'll have like an entire concession stand, and you can just go up there and grab whatever you like. You build that experience. If you could do that,
right,
and stream it from your Apple TV directly to the projector, it's like you're at the movie theater, not with the great sound, not with the amazing digital. You're never going to replace that. And you're never going to replace being in a theater with everybody cheering on, with action films and stuff like that. But for a family experience, something to do every single Friday night without unloading $80 bucks, $14.99 a month. I think
it has a beat.
HBO Max is making the right move here, and Warner Brothers, it is a lot of money wrapped up into making these movies. Like, there's no telling how much Godzilla and Kong, we should have looked that up, is going to cost them.
The amount of CGI that had to be put into that is going to be crazy.
I'm going to conservatively guess that they have paid somewhere in the $300 million for that movie to be produced. It's going to be hard for them to get an immediate return on that. What they're hoping for is people like me and Trent sign up for HBO Max, and we're signed up for the rest of our lives. They're hoping you are signed up for that service for the rest of your life. So that's where they're banking on this heading. It's interesting. It's also interesting to see how all of the other studios are going to react, because Paramount Pictures is a massive operation, and they have a brand new streaming service. Look at that. It's called the Paramount streaming service. It used to be CBS All Access. They've now transformed CBS All Access, which Paramount owns, obviously, into Paramount Streaming. Well, they're going to look at HBO Max and say, we can do the same thing. If the theaters are going to allow them to do it, let's cut our own deal and do it as well. The theaters are not going down without swinging. They have come back and they've said, we're going to work out some sort of deal where we get a larger chunk of the money in-house for the theater owners. I don't know how all that's going to work out. I suspect that Warner will quietly hook them up with some money just to make it kind of quietly go away, because they're going to need to make this thing happen, and we'll see. It's going to be fascinating. Send us an email, hornlaketv@gmail.com, telling us what you think about all of the streaming wars and the way they're going. But HBO just came out swinging. That's all I gotta say. They've come out swinging, and their viewership, their subscribing list is going to go up during the holidays a lot. I suspect it is going to have a massive jump right around Christmas, probably the day before Christmas or Christmas Day.
Yeah.
When Wonder Woman comes
100%.
on, what I'm more worried about is that their servers can handle it, because it may be a massive crash. Hopefully they've got all of that figured out. Now, here was the other thing I wanted to talk to Trent about, and I don't know if we've talked about this in here at all. Sometimes we chat in the studio amongst doing everything else we're having to do about technology and stuff that's happening in the news. We watch it all day long. It's streaming on these televisions. We have Peacock going literally all day long, and then we also have Fox and sometimes CNN as well going. So in the news, internet, the next part of this equation, internet and accessibility for all Americans and everyone on the globe has been somewhat of a problem. There are a lot of areas, even right here in Horn Lake, that don't have great high-speed internet. You're right up here on the road in Church Road, and there's probably good high-speed internet in that neighborhood.
No, it's awful.
Really?
My PlayStation, I have a LAN cable hooked up directly to our router, and it's still bad.
Are y'all, what service are y'all, AT&T or are you Comcast? Xfinity. And that's actually one of the better providers in the area, honestly.
AT&T was worse over there.
Yes.
And, I mean, I'm not going to lie, they had awful customer service.
Yes.
So,
I have had Comcast in the past. It was the best internet service. I got a little heated, which we sometimes do as customers.
right.
And I told them to go shove it. So I ended up bouncing to AT&T. My speeds with AT&T are not as good. It is fast enough to allow me and one of my children at the same time to stream. I can have a number of broadband devices hooked up in the house at any given time, and it works okay. I consistently get about 30 megabytes per second down, which in today's standards is not just great. You can stream with about 10 megabytes per second, is what they say. Barely stream with 10 megabytes per second.
Right.
When I tell people, people ask me all the time, what do you need? I'd say conservatively, you'd want about 50 megabytes per second.
Roughly.
If you're gaming, you definitely are going to want somewhere between 30 and 50.
You want more, but, I mean...
And latency is a big deal with gaming as well.
Latency is also a very big thing with it.
So, anyway, I'm getting about 30 at my house. I'm supposed to be getting 45 to 50 with AT&T. I get 30. I don't complain too much. I would like to get now if you have the ability to get C Spire's fiber, it is amazing. It's going to be about $80 a month, and it is really, really, really fast. There is a new technology though that has come on this. It's been bubbling on the surface, and it is this push by the government to give everybody in rural America access at any given time to high speed internet. And of course, our good friend Elon Musk is the one who's going to try to rise to the occasion. His company, and he's a Tesla. He owns Tesla, but he also owns this company called SpaceX. What were you about to say?
He's also partnering with a whole nother business to make his own tequila. Fun fact, I just figured that would be
I wonder how many businesses he actually has. I figure he has his money tied up in a lot of different things. SpaceX is his private... It's the privatized NASA, basically. And SpaceX, and there's a couple of other private space programs, but SpaceX is the one that's had the most success. SpaceX is the one that recently sent up some astronauts to the space station.
Right.
They're building these amazing rockets, and they're trying to get to Mars in the coming years. In fact, last week there was an article that said Elon Musk held a 1 a.m. meeting. He flew to Texas on a whim to his SpaceX facility and called everybody in the company to the factory floor at 1 a.m. and said, why are we not open? Why are we not open right now? And they're like, we don't have a night shift. He hired 354 new employees that day to start a night shift so that he could be building rockets to get to Mars 24 hours a day. That's the kind of person he is. On top of getting...
More power to him.
I know. On top of getting to Mars, he is utilizing SpaceX as the way to get broadband to everyone in the world. Here's how he's working on doing it. There is currently satellite internet. My parents have it at a cabin that they have a getaway spot. It's awful. The current satellite company is HughesNet, and that comes from the family lineage of Howard Hughes, the billionaire who was crazy, who he bought that hotel casino in Las Vegas towards the end of his life and just stayed in the penthouse basically till he died. He was crazy. Legendary in the aviation world, and there's an amazing movie about him that Leonardo DiCaprio starred in. He built HughesNet, which is a satellite internet company. You currently pay, it's over $100 a month, and the speed is somewhere around 5 megabytes per second down. That's it.
That's crazy.
It's so slow you can't do anything. So it's enough that if you're in the middle of nowhere, I can actually get a text off from their cabin because I don't have good cell service there either.
Right.
But you can't watch or stream basically anything. It's very intermittent. So that's all there is for anybody currently. SpaceX has come up with Starlink, and it's actually already exists. They now have they started last month. This is why it's news. You're like, Mr. Lewis, it took you forever to get around to that part of the story. I'm sorry. I just need you to have some backstory. They started officially the beta test of Starlink, which is the SpaceX internet for everyone. Here's Elon's plan. The government just gave SpaceX $885 million for this because the U.S. government was so impressed with what he's done so far. They're like, okay, let's just infuse him some money and get this thing really, really cranking.
Oh my God.
He has currently put 900 satellites into orbit. They're already up there. He has opened the beta test for anyone who wants to go to his website and sign up for it. You have to buy a dish that costs all the dish and the equipment is going to cost you $500. It's not cheap to get the equipment, but $500 and then $99 a month. And he wants to lower that price. He's working on lowering it. At $99 a month, beta testers are already saying 50 megabytes per second to 150 megabytes per second is the current speed with the 900 satellites he's currently got in orbit. Elon's plan, 30,000 satellites orbiting the Earth.
Oh my God.
He plans on putting 30,000 satellites in the end in orbit, a low orbit. He hopes to bump the speed to 1 gigabit per second download speed, which would be ridiculously lightning fast. Most of you have never experienced anything close to that.
On good days, I get like a quarter of that.
Correct. So he hopes to get to 1 gigabit per second with a cost of $80 a month. He would end up putting everybody out of business.
Yeah.
If you had landlines alone, you'd be like, I'm still going to put one of these dishes on my house because I want 1 gigabit per second at $80 a month.
Right.
It will.
And it's wireless?
Wireless. So you can do it anywhere. You could take the dish with you and go to Florida, to Destin for the week, and stick your little tiny dish. It's a small little dish on a tripod. Stick it out on your balcony at the condo and have your 1 gigabit per second with you. It's astounding. So it's very exciting for everyone who currently doesn't have a good internet option. And most of us don't have 1 gigabit per second. And people like me and Trent want it to always be faster. Right. And at $80 a month, if it gets to that point, that's going to be incredible. I'm excited that it's currently 50 to 150. That's still screaming fast compared to what most people have. And it's just currently in beta testing. So what do you think?
I'm excited.
Had you heard about this yet?
I
Have we
haven't
talked about
heard
it?
about
I
that.
didn't think I couldn't remember if we talked about it or not.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. That's exciting though, because you know how annoying it is to have it completely hooked up to the router and have called the company multiple times already and they don't do anything about it. And it's completely wireless and it's owned by Elon Musk. It's gonna have good customer service.
Oh,
And it's gonna have
work.
good quality.
Because if it doesn't work, Elon's gonna throw a
Exactly. Elon himself hates his own anything that isn't good quality from himself. So you already know it's gonna be good quality. So if it's 1 gigabit plus wireless, that's
So that's
you
a
have me
company,
sold.
right? So that's a company to watch, right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So it's called Starlink. For anyone who's interested, you can Google it and you can get on the website right now. And if you want to pay the $500 for the equipment, which admittedly is expensive,
right.
but you buy that equipment and then you're off to the races and running. And it's getting faster and faster and faster because he's putting in a lot of land infrastructure. He's putting in towers so that the satellites will hit those towers, and then your satellites can feed off of those towers and relay even quicker. He plans on, if there's one thing we've learned about Elon Musk, if he says he wants it to be 1 gigabit speed, eventually it'll get there.
Gigabits, right.
Eventually it'll get there.
It'll get there.
Because he'll just keep tweaking his technology and pour god-awful amounts of money into it until he gets the result he wants. Because if we've learned one thing from Elon, he really doesn't care about the money. He's got it. He's got plenty of it. He's more interested in actually changing the world. And he says that all the time. That's why he hired 354 employees and put them on his SpaceX floor at a night shift. Not because he wasn't going to get to Mars. He's going to get to Mars eventually. He just wanted to get to Mars faster. And that's what the article said. It was like, he's not happy that it's not going to be at the speed he wants. So he's going to literally
the speed he
burn
wants.
more money than he would need to just to try to increase the speed. To me, a person like that is fascinating. That's why I'm always fascinated about what he does.
For sure. Elon's a great guy. Seriously, like, I mean, he doesn't care about money. Like, I'm not going to say he doesn't care about money, but...
He doesn't have to worry about it.
Right, he doesn't have to worry about it, so he just goes and puts it to better use. He doesn't sit there and just stockpile it like all these other celebrities and just let it go to waste knowing that nobody's going to use it. So, I mean, and if you want to be technical, that's still boosting the economy too, because 350 jobs he just opened up and how much money he just spent putting that all back in the cycle.
No doubt. Are you ever going to buy one of his cars? Because I kind of want one.
Oh, yeah, I want a Tesla.
I think I'm waiting for the battery technology to get to a point where I don't have to charge as much. And we just don't have a whole lot of charging options around here yet. Like, I need that. I want to see that land infrastructure, like, really decked out so that I know, hey, I can drive from here to anywhere and I'm not going to be worried about, hey, I'm going to need a charge in a minute.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want a Tesla one day. Easy, for sure.
All right. Well, we just gave you a whole lot of information. Do with it what you will. But I think the takeaway is HBO Max is legit. And Starlink may be in every one of our homes in 5 years.